Coach Alan Metzel and Gilmer were taking on Van. Both of these teams are coming off big wins. I think Van scored 50-something points, and I believe Coach Alan Metzel and his guys scored something like almost 40 points. So high-scoring games from last week. Now they face one another. As they always say, something's got to give. I asked Coach before we talked about the game, at what part of the season does he generally see teams beginning to make a statement and begin to move away? And here's what he says.
I would say in that time for sure by 8, because if you're going to try and play a 16-game season, 8 is your halfway point.
Right.
Well, for the teams that aren't thinking that way, they're thinking our season's almost done.
Yeah.
And so you see a separation begin to happen around about that time, and so you see the teams that are serious and the teams that are ready to move on to basketball or to whatever the next thing is.
You put up a bunch of points last week. Van put up a bunch of points last week. What's your concern coming off the great game you guys had going into a game with Van?
Well, we know Van is tough. They had a tough game. They played several teams. We have Pine Tree, Lindale. Our scores are very similar in both games, so we know what they are, and we played them for years. I know Coach Moffitt well. He's one of the best X's and O coaches I know in East Texas. Has a great program there. They're going to be tough. It's going to be a great game Friday night.
Where have your strengths improved since the season began?
Well, we've built depth, for one thing, just because we had so many injuries. We've had to play a lot of guys, so that has actually improved us. I think our execution on offense has gone up drastically the last 2 games, the Brenham game, the Pittsburgh game. We're beginning to tighten some things up that need to take place. We're being more consistent in our special teams, and our defense is playing well.
Coach Alan Metzel,
I love him.
and he's a fun guy, and you can tell he's done this before. It's like nothing phases him. He is a guy. He's a minister. I don't know if you knew that.
He is.
He's
he
a minister,
is. We talked
and
about
I've
that
been wanting to
before.
do a story on that. So
Coach Minister.
Yeah.
Or Minister Coach.
Yeah.
Which one comes first in
Minister.
the title? You think
Minister.
Minister Coach?
Yeah.
It does roll off the tongue a little more.